Shalom, everybody. This is Paul with Torah Life Ministries. We continue to read the scriptures live every single day together here. We're up to Ezra, the 5th chapter of the book of Ezra. And again, it's my goal and my passion to let people understand how important it is to read the scriptures and be in the Word. A lot of people say a lot of different things about how they feel and about what they think and all this stuff. But what really comes down to is the Word of our Creator. You either believe this is the Word of our Creator or not. There's no in between. There's no sometimes. And I do believe this is the holy divine word of our Creator. And we're going to be reading Esther chapter 5 today. If you want to see any of the other previous chapters of Ezra chapter 5. And if you want to see any of the other books, just please go and look. We have done maybe 80% of the Bible already, and we're going to get through them all. So we're going to start off with prayer today. And Shema Israel. Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Baruch Shem Kivo, Mahuto, Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our Elohim, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And have these words which I command you this day be upon your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children. And speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you retire, and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and let them be frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house, and beyond your gates. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So we are reading the scriptures, and we're up to Ezra, the 5th chapter of the book of Ezra. And we're going to read this. And if you saw in the last chapter, if you remembered, you saw the stopping of the rebuilding of the temple, as the people were rebuilding it, but the enemy opposed the rebuilding and sent a letter to Esther's possible mother, which is King Xerxes' son, who was in charge at the time. And we left off in the last chapter 4 of Ezra. It says, so the work of the temple of Yahweh in Jerusalem had stopped, and it remained on standstill until the 2nd year of the reign of King Darius of Persia. That was the end of Ezra 4. Now as we read Ezra 5, it says, at that time, the prophet Haggai and Zechariah, son of Iddo, prophesied to the Jewish people in Judah and Jerusalem. They prophesied in the name of Yahweh of Israel, who was over them. It says here in verse 2, Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, the Jetsu, son of Jehozadak, responded by starting again to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, and the prophets of Yahweh were with them and helped them. Now the note here for verse 1 says more details about the work and measures of Haggai and Zechariah are found in the books of the Bible that bear their names. So there were books that bear their names. So these people were working together at the same time. You had Ezra, you had Haggai, and you had Zechariah. They were all alive at the same time doing stuff. And it says the prophets of Yahweh were with them and helped them. Yahweh sometimes sends prophets to encourage and strengthen his people. To accomplish this, Haggai and Zechariah not only preached, but also got involved in the labor. The church today, Yahweh appoints prophetic voices to help us with our work. Ephesians 4:11-13. Their ministry should have the same effect upon us as Haggai's and Zechariah's had on Israel. One who prophesies strengthens others, encourages them, and comforts them. 1 Corinthians 14:3. In turn, we should encourage those who bring Yahweh's words to us. And then we continue reading here with verse 3. It says, But Tattenai, governor of the province of west of the Euphrates Rivers, Shethar-bozenai and their colleagues soon arrived in Jerusalem and asked, who gave you permission to rebuild this temple and restore this structure? They also asked the names of all the men working in the temple, but because their Elohim was watching over them, the leaders of the Jewish people were not prevented from building until the report was sent to Darius, and he returned his decision. So we see here in verses 3 to 5, the non-Jewish people who lived nearby attempted to hinder the construction of the temple. But while the legal debate went on and the decision was under appeal to the Jewish people continued to rebuild. When we are doing Yahweh's work, others may try to delay, confuse, and frustrate us. But we can proceed confidently. Yahweh will accomplish his purpose in our world, no matter who attempts to block them. Just as he watched over the Jewish elders, he watched over you. Consider it on Yahweh's purpose. Concentrate on Yahweh's purpose and don't be sidetracked by intrigues of slander. Intrigues or slander. So remember this, and this is a great word for today because there's so much going on in the political world. But Yahweh's giving you a job. I have a friend who will go and preach the word to anyone, anywhere, even if that person says, I don't want to hear it. It's something, the guy's mind just shuts off when he hears people have something negative to say, and he just positively goes and preach the word. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see. And eventually he does get to people. So we looked next in this verse 6. It says, Tattenai's letter to King Darius. This is a copy of the letter that Tattenai, governor of Shethar-bozenai, and the other officials of the province west of the Euphrates sent to King Darius. And it says here, to King Darius, greetings. The king should know that we went to the construction site of the temple of the great God in the province of Judah. It is being rebuilt with specifically prepared stones, and timber is being laid in its walls. The work is going forward with great energy and success. We asked the leaders who gave you permission to rebuild this temple and restore this structure. We demanded their names so we could tell you who the leaders were. This was their answer. We are servants of the Elohim of heaven and the earth, and we are rebuilding the temple that was built here many years ago by a great king of Israel. But because our ancestors angered the Elohim of heaven, he abandoned them to King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, who destroyed this temple and exiled his people to Babylon. However, King Cyrus of Babylon, during the first year of his reign, issued the decree that the temple of Yahweh should be rebuilt. King Cyrus returned the gold and silver cups that Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple of Yahweh in Jerusalem and had placed in the temple of Babylon. These cups were taken from that temple and presented a man named Shethar, who King Cyrus appointed as governor over Judah. The king instructed him to return the cups to their place in Jerusalem and to rebuild the temple of Yahweh there on its original site. So this Shethar came and laid the foundations of the temple of the Elohim of Jerusalem in Jerusalem. The people had been working on it ever since, though it is not yet completed. Therefore, if it pleases the king, we request that a search be made in the royal archives of Babylon to discover whether King Cyrus ever issued a decree to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, and then let the king send his decision on this matter. So we see they didn't believe what they were told, so they wanted to confirm this with the king. And it says here in a note, this letter is compromised with the previous one, 4:11-16. At least stated the facts correctly. This later, in comparison with the previous one, at least stated the facts correctly and asked for a fair question. The earlier letter accused the Jewish people of preparing the foundation for the entire city rather than reporting that they were doing only what they had been permitted by Cyrus to do. Perhaps the opposition simply thought that sending this letter to Babylon would create enough concern to stop the Jewish people from rebuilding the temple. Yahweh, however, had other plans. We can't predict how Yahweh will get his purpose accomplished, but we can certainly trust his will to succeed. And the verse for number 11 says this was the answer. It says in verse 11, while returning to the temple, the workers were confronted by the Persia appointed governor, demanding to know who gave permission for the construction project. This could have been imitating, but as we learned from the letter, they boldly replied, "We are the servants of Yahweh, of heaven and on earth, the God of heaven and earth." It is not always easy to speak up for our faith in an unbelieving world, but we must. The way to deal with pressure and intimidation is to recognize that we are the workers for Yahweh. Alliance to Him is first, people second, and when we can contemplate the reactions of our criticisms and hostile people, we can become paralyzed with fear. If we try to offend no one or to please everyone, you won't be effective. Yahweh is our leader, and His rewards are most important. So don't be intimidated. Let others know by your words and actions, whom you really serve. Let me turn on the light here a little bit better, all right? Forgive me for that. Okay, and then the verses for verse 13 to 17 said, Cyrus called the king of Persia in chapter 1, verse 1, and the king of Babylon in 5:13. Well, Cyrus is called the king of Persia because Persia had just conquered Babylon. Cyrus was king of both nations. Babylon is more important to the story because it was located of the Hebrews' 70-year captivity. But the Babylon in 5 verse 17 may refer to the city of Babylon, which was the capital of the nation of Babylon. And that was chapter 5 of the book of Ezra. As we continue to read the scriptures every single day, and if you have any questions, go back to the previous chapter. We're answering them, we're explaining them, we're talking about them. So praise our wonderful Creator that we can come together and do this today. And Yah be with you all. Have a blessed Shabbat. Let me lower that before I get a sunburn, a light burn, a desk lamp burn. Have a blessed Shabbat, everybody. Yahweh be with you all. Shabbat shalom. Let me blow the shofar for everyone who's listening. We'll hear this sound. There we go. All right. All right, everybody. Have a blessed day. Yah be with you. Shalom, shalom.